What is up, guys? It is esports content entertainment coming at you guys with another video here today. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Karmine Corp, Rekkles, and Sama. So there have been massive, heavy rumors that Karmine Corp is looking to purchase an LEC slot for the LEC 2023 spring split. Now, Rekkles joined Karmine Corp after he failed with G2 Esports in 2021, and Sama just recently failed to make Worlds 2022 with Team Liquid. So there was this article that came out yesterday from Upcomer, and it was written by LEC Wulo, who has been right a lot of times about roster shifts between, EU players coming back to NA, or EU players going over to NA, or EU players shifting within, the EU scene, actually. Pretty much just like a Jacob Wolf for the, LEC. So pretty much whenever he reports on something, it's almost pretty much like 100% guaranteed. But remember, guys, right now, the open agency period doesn't actually open until November. But let's be honest here. Like I've mentioned in countless off-season videos when it comes to teams not participating in the 2022 World Championship or World Championship of that year, they're already going to start talking about what they want next year to look like. Because literally after Worlds, there's only 2 months left in the year. Then in like mid-November, you get all these rosters, being constructed. And then by December, you hear the remainder of the news. And then after that, it's January. And then literally, you're doing like lock-ins and you're doing the splits and they start. So yeah, it's not going to be too far away until the next spring split starts for all the competitive regions. So the teams that literally did not make Worlds are going to start working on their rosters right now. So that way, you're not like scrambling last minute to make a roster, So this is actually a really interesting article that we have to go over because it talks about very key crucial points for the LEC. Now, I know I did make videos about the rumors that Karmine Corp was going to be joining the LEC because you have to kind of factor in, like, who would really sell their slot. Well, you have to kind of factor in there's teams that would do it, You have SK Gaming, Astralis. Those are definite teams that could easily sell their slots. I mean, there was rumors that Astralis was going to be selling their slot very soon. Then you also had, there's actually no rumors on SK Gaming, so maybe they're actually looking to stay in the scene. They're like a legacy, EU org for, the LEC, actually going all the way back to even when I first started watching, the LEC, actually back in like 2015, So when we're looking at all that, you also have to kind of factor in, Rogue is also so there's another team that is purchasing a big majority stake in Rogue, right? So you have that. You also have Team Heretics coming into the LEC. They're purchasing Misfit slot, actually. So yeah, so that's kind of why I was waiting to make this video. And I'm glad it all came with this amazing news so we could just talk about it all at once, because I'd rather talk about something that's already finished rather than a bunch of rumors sometimes. It's cool to make like a rumor video here or there, but it's something like Karmine Corp, I'm like, okay, it's not going to really matter until we actually get a final confirmation, But let's go over this. Sources: Karmine Corp offered deal to Sama, Rekkles exploring options. So Team Liquid most likely just terminated Sama's contract. So that means he's just a free agent, But I know people are going to be like, well, he signed until 2024. Doesn't matter. The contracts are literally favored to the org who makes the contract. So they can just terminate it when they want to. That's a actual clause in the contract itself. All right, so let's go. Karmine Corp is attempting to acquire bot laner Sama, whose contract with Team Liquid is being terminated. Sources have told Upcomer on Tuesday. As a consequence, bot laner Rekkles is currently exploring options in the League of Legends European Championship. So that even gives more credence as to the reason why Karmine Corp could be purchasing an LEC slot, because why would they pick up Sama in general, right? Why would you pick up Sama, pay a good amount of money for Sama, just to compete in EU Masters, actually? I mean, Rekkles did it, sure, but that just seems kind of weird, right? Sama wants to return to Europe following a disappointing year with Team Liquid after the organization failed to qualify to the World Championship. Team Liquid have already publicly announced that they're going to change their roster for 2023. Part of those changes includes the departure of Hans Sama, sources added. And then this video is already up on the channel. I did a video already covering this, so just check this video out first to see my opinions on the Team Liquid Superstar team that ended up not doing so well for 2022. Several LEC teams have expressed interest in the French bot laner. Karmine Corp is also one of the teams who expressed interest. Despite not being in the LEC, the organization is still in the possibility of acquiring Astralis' spot, reported by Upcomer last month. The offer Karmine Corp sent to Hans Sama has been well received and will allegedly be completed if certain conditions are met. The organization has allowed Rekkles to talk with other teams. The team's current bot laner has subsequently started to explore options in the LEC. This follows a year with ups and downs with Karmine Corp. While the team failed to make it to the European Masters this summer, they have lifted the trophy of its spring edition. Karmine Corp achieved the historic signing of Rekkles last year for a buyout cost of over $1 million for a 2-year contract. So just right here, like I mentioned before, they bought Rekkles for essentially 2 years, but he's only going to serve a year of that contract because that's how these contracts work. So it doesn't really matter how long a player signs for. It really doesn't. I mean, if the player plays up to that point, that's great. But at any point, if you have a bad season with a player or a bad split or whatever, you can simply just get out of it if you want to. And okay, so let's talk about this right here. So conditions met pretty much mean if Karmine Corp joined the LEC, he'll most likely join with them. But if not, he'll probably end up maybe looking for another team. Because that's the thing right now is I don't think Hans Sama wants to play EU Masters. Let's just be honest here. He doesn't want to play EU Masters at all. He wants to play in the LEC potentially if there is a chance that he can. Now that's what I think means by if certain conditions are met. Rekkles, on the other hand, could potentially come back to the LEC for a similar matter of reasons that I could probably say. So number one being there are teams that failed this year. There are teams that failed, right? You have a team like Team Heretics who could potentially keep the Misfits roster that they inherited, but let's be honest here, they probably want to just like clean shop and simply just start over with people that they're going to choose, coaching staff and you know, players in general. You also have a team like BDS who failed, right? And potentially they could be looking at Rekkles. I mean, Rekkles, let's be honest here, would be an upgrade over Xmatty. Like a pretty big upgrade. Like the sizable difference would be insane, right? So that's my thing, is there are teams that failed this year in the LEC that could look to definitely, you know, upgrade in the AD carry position, right? And there's teams, I mean, Astralis, I mean, if they sell to Karmine Corp, it won't really matter, right? Like, and if that happened, you know Karmine Corp is getting rid of that entire roster, right? So that's another thing, too, is like, if Astralis does sell the slot to Karmine Corp, they're going to change the entire team. And potentially, you know, that's not going to include Rekkles because, well, they already had Rekkles earlier this year, so it really wouldn't matter for that. Then, so that's basically leaves him plenty of other teams to join. Like, he's not going to join G2. Like, come on, let's be honest here. Fnatic, that's done. Rogue just won with Comp. That's not happening. Team Heretics, which was Misfits, that's possible. Unless they really want to get rid of Neon, who had a pretty solid-ish 2022. SK Gaming, I mean, I'm pretty sure he would never join them because I'm pretty sure a player like Rekkles wants to be on a team that can compete for the title, and a team like org like SK Gaming or an org like BDS is probably not going to be, you know, something you really want to be looking at if you're trying to compete in the LEC. I mean, you have Excel, but can Excel really afford Rekkles actually? Then you also have, what was the other team that was there? A Team Vitality, but I mean, I think there was a show where Thorin asked Perks if he would play with Rekkles, and Perks pretty much, without saying no, said no. So I guess there's something people don't like playing with Rekkles actually, because they tried that with Caps for like again in G2, play with Rekkles in Fnatic. He said he didn't really like that too much, and then he's in G2 because he tried to try things again, and he tried to get things that work, and then it didn't work there either. So just depends if Rekkles can join one of these lower tier LEC teams that have players that are kind of similar to what Excel are bringing to the table, maybe they might surprise, honestly. I think Rekkles should be in the LEC, but the problem here is that he wants to most likely compete with a, team that could definitely challenge for the title, potentially make playoffs. Well, there's only a certain amount of teams that can really do that for you, Like Mad Lions. Is Mad Lions giving up on Unforgiven? Nope, that's not happening. Rogue, Mad Lions, Fnatic, and G2 are pretty much your top 4 in the LEC, and they are not giving up on their ADCs. That is not happening. I mean, that isn't happening. Plus, Rekkles is not going to go back to orgs that he left and one that kicked him off. So that's already eliminated on, right? So that's just my thing. Speaking about Hans Sama, for the remainder of the video, Hans Sama definitely did not play really that good. I mean, all year, essentially. I mean, in spring, I think he was still top 4 material, but in summer, like, he definitely fell apart, especially toward like the regular season of Summer Split earlier this year. I thought he was playing pretty bad. He kind of picked it up toward the latter end of it, and then he basically became the only win condition of the team. Now, my thing with Team Liquid is, like I mentioned this before, earlier this year, and leading into this year, actually. Sorry, I should say that. Leading into this year, I mentioned that there's going to be a player on Team Liquid from the super team that isn't going to agree with how they want to play the game. I thought it was Bwipo and Bjergsen. Reports say it's Bjergsen and CoreJJ, which would give me that other implication that I've been thinking in my head for a while that, yeah, this team has had some pretty big issues on how they want to play the game. That's the reason why their drafting comes out pretty bad. That's the reason why they don't really look like they have any cohesion in the game. Like a team with Bjergsen on it's going to have these issues because Bjergsen sees the game one way, but Bjergsen is around these other players who are, definitely on par with him, and he still can't compromise on how to want to play the game. And we know CoreJJ isn't bad, but he played badly this year. And Hans Sama definitely was a win condition for Team Liquid toward the latter end of this year, but it didn't really get them to Worlds, actually. And we know Team Liquid was going to change the roster because of the results of this year. They spit big, and they failed. So now, looking forward, they're going to most likely attempt to build from Team Liquid themselves, which is most likely their academy players. I mean, their bot lane was performing very well. So you want to probably give them a chance. But where does that leave CoreJJ? If Team Liquid let go of CoreJJ, I think that would create a lot of parity in the LCS, right? That causes a lot of dominoes to fall because he would be one of the most sought after free agents in the offseason. Let's be honest here. I mean, given his year bad play, people would still gamble and go, oh my god, I could have CoreJJ on my team, Because I don't think what this team could have done is possible with a player like Bjergsen. Not ragging on Bjergsen, I'm just saying, like, he's not a player that is going to be open to trying all these different styles out. I mean, we've seen that before on the TSM rosters. They were having massive issues trying to try out different comps, on TSM back in the day, right? A player like Bwipo, I think you could keep Bwipo, but I think that's fine if you do. I just don't think he'll stay, honestly. Santorin, I think you should keep. I think he played great, honestly. I mean, do you keep Bjergsen? If you can upgrade over Bjergsen, I would. And Bjergsen did not play very well this year either. So I think any player, potentially, given how well they play, could be an upgrade. I mean, if I'm Team Liquid, because Takuli is a import on FlyQuest, right? So if there's a way for them to get an NA bot lane and potentially get Takuli, I would upgrade Bjergsen over Takuli. I think Takuli played better, honestly. But that's just me, personally. What do you guys think about this news about Karmine Corp, Rekkles, and Hans Sama? I just want to say this. Thank you guys for being here. All the new subscribers that we just got. We may be making consistent content from now going into Worlds. It's gonna be pretty hard to make content after Worlds because you're pretty much just relying on like off-season rumors, honestly. But off-season rumors will pick up more when Worlds is over because that's when we get closer to the free open agency period, which begins in November. It usually lands on like a Monday. So yeah. See you guys later. Like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I am MSK, and this is Esports Content Entertainment. I'll see you guys later. Deuces.